The gods are cruel, none crueler than Hera. She reached into the mind of the greatest man alive and turned his love into madness. When the darkness lifted, Heracles stood among the dead. His wife, his children, his own hands soaked in blood. No enemy had done this. He had. The screaming never stopped, not outside, but within. He fell to his knees before the oracle of Delphi. Her words were merciless. Serve the king you despise. Complete 12 labors, or carry this guilt to your grave. With nothing left, he chose the impossible. In the hills of Nemean, something ancient hunted men, a lion of divine birth, its golden hide impenetrable, arrows shattered, blades snapped. The beast laughed at weapons. Heracles entered the cave alone, no sword, no spear. He seized the lion's throat with bare hands and squeezed until the darkness went still. From its invincible skin, he carved himself a new identity. He emerged from that cave a different kind of man. The swamps of Lerna breathed poison. Beneath the surface, something ancient waited with many heads. Each wound fed the monster. Every severed neck birthed two more. This was no battle. This was a lesson in futility. Until Heracles stopped fighting alone, fire sealed what bronze could not. Neck by neck, the nightmare drowned in its own swamp. Silence returned to Lerna. The water ran still. Not all labors are won with violence. Artemis herself claimed this creature, golden-horned, swift as light. For a full year, Heracles tracked it through moonlit forests. No trap, no arrow, only patience older than mountains. He caught it at the river's edge, exhausted and trembling, returned it breathing, unharmed to the goddess. Proof that the greatest strength sometimes looks like restraint. High on Mount Erymanthos, something massive was destroying everything. The boar left only ruins and broken earth in its wake. Heracles drove it up through the deepest snow, exhausted it in the white silence of winter, then lifted the raging beast onto his own shoulders. He walked it back to Eurystheus' gates. The king hid inside a bronze jar at the sight of it. Some men inspire awe. Heracles inspired terror. "30 years of filth had turned the stables of King Augean into a monument of rot. The stench alone had poisoned the surrounding land for miles. Eurystheus chose this labor to break him, not with danger, but with humiliation. Heracles arrived, surveyed the filth, and dropped his club. He walked to the nearest river and began to dig. In a single day, he redirected 2 rivers straight through the stable walls, and the flood did what no shovel ever could. When the waters receded, the stone was bare and clean. The greatest warriors don't always fight harder. Sometimes they simply think differently. By the shores of Lake Stymphalian, the sky itself had become a weapon. Thousands of bronze-feathered birds blackened the sun, their razor wings shredding anything below. The villages around the lake had been abandoned. Nothing survived their hunger. Athena herself handed him a divine rattle, the only tool that could move them. The sound shattered the silence and drove the swarm into open sky. Heracles picked them off one by one as they fled, until the lake fell silent and still. King Minos broke his promise to Poseidon, and the god sent madness in the shape of a bull. The beast tore through Crete like a living earthquake. No wall, no chain could stop it. Heracles crossed the Augean alone and found it in the ruins of a village. He grabbed it by both horns and held, pure will against divine rage. The bull buckled. The earth went still. He dragged it across the sea in chains and dropped it at Eurystheus' feet, who immediately set it free rather than go near it. In Thrace, King Diomedes kept 4 mares that fed on human flesh, travelers who never returned. Their stable floor was layered with the bones of his victims. Heracles arrived, killed Diomedes with his own hands, and fed the king to his own horses. As the mares tasted their master, their screaming stopped. The madness left them. He walked into the sudden silence and bridled them without a fight. Some monsters aren't the animals. They're the men who created them. The Amazon queen Hippolyta wore the war belt of Ares, forged by the god of war himself, symbol of supreme power. She had heard of Heracles. When he arrived and explained his labor, she agreed to hand it over freely. Then Hera descended among the Amazon warriors and whispered that Heracles had come to kidnap their queen. The Amazons attacked before a single word could stop them. Heracles fought through the chaos, not for glory, but just to survive the war that was made for him. He took the belt from the fallen battlefield and walked away. He never wanted any of it. The gods decided otherwise. Beyond the edge of the known world, where the ocean swallowed the sky, Heracles planted the pillars of Heracles and crossed the boundary anyway. On the island of Erythea, under a blood-red sun, the 3-bodied giant Geryon stood waiting with 3 shields and 3 spears. No negotiation, no hesitation. Heracles raised his bow and shot through all 3 bodies with a single arrow. Geryon fell at the edge of the world, where no witness would ever stand, and no legend would have reached without Heracles himself. He rounded up the red cattle and began the long journey home, months of walking alone across the entire known world. No glory, no crowd, just the road, the herd, and the next horizon. At the edge of the world stood a secret garden, golden apples glowing in the dark, guarded by a serpent that never slept. No weapon could reach them. No man had ever returned from trying. Heracles found Atlas, the Titan condemned to hold the sky on his shoulders for eternity. He made the Titan an offer: carry the sky while Atlas retrieved the apples. Atlas returned with the apples and refused to take the sky back. Heracles nodded. Just hold it for one moment while I adjust my shoulders. Atlas took it back. Heracles picked up the apples and walked away. The strongest weapon he ever used was not his club, it was his mind. The 12th labor had no monster to outsmart, no beast to chase, only a descent into death itself. Heracles walked into the underworld alive, something no mortal had ever done and returned from. The dead reached for him from every side, drawn to the warmth of the living. Hades himself stood aside. Even the god of death recognized what walked toward him. At the gates of the underworld waited Cerberus, 3 heads, mane of living snakes, eyes burning with eternal hunger. No weapon allowed. That was the rule. Only bare hands. Heracles seized all 3 necks at once and held until the hound went still. He dragged Cerberus into the light of the living world, and for the first time, the gates of death stood unguarded. 12 labors done. "12 labors completed. 12 impossible things dragged into reality by one man's refusal to stop. But the gods do not grant forgiveness easily, and Heracles carried his guilt until his mortal body could carry it no longer. On Mount Oeta, he built his own funeral pyre and stepped into the flames. The fire did not destroy him. It burned away everything that was mortal, and what remained was something else entirely. Zeus claimed his son. Olympus opened its gates for the first and last time for a man who had earned his place there in blood. He took his seat among the gods, the lion skin still across his shoulders, not as a trophy, but as a reminder that every god was once brought to his knees.